and both teams' bats were silent until extra innings when a little-known twin made John Axford pay in back-to-back days. But the Tribe and their closer must wipe the slate clean. The bats are going to have to warm up to get this team going. The Indians will give the ball to former 12-game winner Josh Tomlin in Game 2 of this 4-game series. Next on Sports Time Ohio. Tonight, the Cleveland Indians will look to get their mojo back. Losers in their last two. They'll turn to Josh Tomlin tonight to try to get him back in the win column. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. We're excited to see Josh Tomlin back on the hill. I mean, it's almost 2 years since he last pitched in a Major League game, Rick, and ironically, he's come full circle because his last Major League start came against these Minnesota Twins.
And Josh Tomlin, a guy that he knows how to pitch the baseball. He backs off, he adds on, he cuts it, he sinks it, he will change up. He's a good fielder. He holds base runners very well. I'm looking forward to watching Josh pitch again. He rehabbed all last year. He was able to come back and give the Indians 2 innings back in September, but he wanted to do more. I think he's looking forward to it. He is ready, and he's 15-8 in this ballpark, so hopefully he will have a good start tonight. He will be matched up against Samuel Deduno, who is 3-2 in his career against the Indians. A good curveball, so the Indians are going to have to see if they can get to Deduno early.
Yeah, Josh Tomlin is coming off a 20 consecutive scoreless inning streak down at AAA Columbus. So he's on the hill, raring and ready to go tonight against the Minnesota Twins, but he's going to need some help. Hopefully the bats will wake up tonight. The play-by-play is next. And the Minnesota Twins getting ready to lock horns tonight. Josh Tomlin is already out there on the hill, but he's been told by the umpire, you got to wait a couple minutes. We're not quite ready to start. So let's take a look at Minnesota's starting nine for Ron Gardenhire, brought to you by Toyota. Brian Dozier, Sam Fuld, Trevor Plouffe, followed by Chris Colabello, Jason Kubel, and Kurt Suzuki. Eduardo Escobar, the hero last night for the Twins, then Chris Herman and Danny Santana batting ninth.
And Josh Tomlin making his first start this year here in Progressive Field, where he is 15-8 in his career. That's our GMC pitcher of the game. Welcome back. He was named the International League Player of the Week. He has 20 consecutive shutout innings going, and he has been throwing the ball very well. And we all know Josh is a guy that he cuts it. Fastball at about 92. He's got a good curveball, changeup. He fields his position very well, and he holds runners very well. Although in his career, he is 1-3 against the Minnesota Twins in 5 starts. This will be start number 6 and an ERA over 7.
Minnesota comes into tonight's game 15-15, and they're just 4.5 games back of Detroit in the AL Central. They currently reside in second place. The Indians in the cellar at the moment, 13-19, 7.5 games off the pace. We are ready to go as Josh Tomlin winds it up. And his first pitch of the night is low for ball 1. 51 degrees, our game time temperature. Breeze blowing in. Off the lake once again here tonight. Fouled back by Dozier to even the count.
Pretty much the same as last night.
Yeah, very similar.
Everything is very similar, no doubt. And we saw last night where a lot of balls were knocked down into that wind that were hit in the air.
Dozier chops one to short. Routine play for his dribble Cabrera. 1 away.
Let's check out the Tribe defense behind Tomlin this afternoon, presented by Kia. In the outfield, it'll be Brantley in left, Morgan in center, Murphy is in right. It'll be Santana at third, Cabrera at short, Ramirez gets the start at second, Swisher is at first with Gomes behind the plate.
Brian O'Nora, the crew chief, calling the balls and strikes. Doug Eddings at first, Chris Siegel at second, Corey Blazer down at third. Tomlin gets it, fires it, and a strike to Sam Fuld. Hit foul, and a count 0-2. Josh Tomlin had a 20 scoreless inning streak when he left AAA Columbus, including 18 straight innings without a walk.
Now that doesn't surprise me. After watching him pitch before, he's healthy again.
Upstairs with it. Josh Tomlin, a former 19th round pick of the Indians back in 2006. Just a little bit outside with that pitch. 2-2. Tomlin made his major league debut with the Tribe July 27, 2010 against the New York Yankees. Popped him up. Maybe playable. Santana over, and he's got room to make the catch. 2 down. Go downstairs and check in with Katie Witham, who has more on Josh Tomlin.
Well, Matt, typically when a player comes back from Tommy John surgery, they have an increase in velocity, which is the case with Josh Tomlin. But interesting, Mickey Callaway said that increase in velocity has actually sped up his arm speed, which helps his off-speed pitches, the pitches Josh Tomlin lives on. Specifically, you can see it having a tighter spin and later action on both his cutter and his changeup, making him even more deceptive.
Fastball a little bit low for Trevor Plouffe.
Well, we remember a couple of years ago before he had the surgery in Minnesota where he had the bad arm and he didn't want to leave to have the surgery.
Pitch in there for a strike. He probably pitched, I don't want to guess, but it was quite a while.
Right.
With the arm, knowing that it was bad, but he's got an old school work ethic, and his idea was, I can't let my teammates down. It's my responsibility to show up to work and be ready to pitch every 5 days. That was just his mindset and the way he was raised. And finally, it took a while, but they finally got through to him. Look, you're hurt.
Yeah.
And you need to have the surgery so that you can get back to pitching the way you can pitch.
Well, he thoroughly went through his rehab, spent all that time back out in Goodyear to get back to where he is today. And like every pitcher that goes through it, as Katie said, he's throwing a little bit harder, and he's got a little better off-speed break to his pitches. This ought to be fun to watch him.
Now the 2-2. Hit in the air, right center field. Nigel Morgan has a beat on it, and the center fielder grabs it. The Minnesota Twins go 1-2-3 in vintage Josh Tomlin from the outset here tonight. Indians baseball is brought to you by McDonald's. I'm loving it. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. By Panini's. Get overstuffed at Panini's Bar and Grill. And by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. No score, bottom of the first. The Indians starting lineup for Terry Francona, brought to you by Progressive. Nyjer Morgan back in the leadoff spot. Michael Bourne still sidelined. Nick Swisher bats second, then Michael Brantley third. Carlos Santana, David Murphy, and Asdrubal Cabrera in the middle. Lonnie Chisenhall will DH and bat seventh. Yan Gomes eighth, and Jose Ramirez batting ninth.
Samuel Deduno will be making his debut tonight as a starter. He was coming out of the bullpen his last couple of games. He's recorded 4 innings in each of the past 2 outings, so it's time for him to start, and they have settled down, and he's thrown the ball very well. This guy has good stuff. He can be effectively wild. He's got a great curveball. He can get wild. He can walk hitters, so you have to make him throw strikes.
Morgan slashes one foul out of play. The Twins would like to keep Samuel Deduno around 80 pitches here tonight. Slowly chopped up the middle. Quick release by Danny Santana to throw out Morgan, one away.
Let's check out that Twins defense. Presented by Kia. It'll be Kubel in left. It'll be Fold in center and Herman in right. Escobar's at third, Santana at short, Dozier at second, Colabella at first with Suzuki doing the catching.
In the long relief role that Deduno has filled so far for Minnesota, he's been up around 62, 63 pitches in an outing. So they feel they can stretch him out to at least 80 here tonight.
Yeah, it's a slow process if you don't do it in spring training. But the key, I think, for Deduno would be throwing strikes. A lot of times he can get a little wild. He can go deep into a lot of pitch counts. So that 80 pitches can get eaten up if he's not on top of his game.
Swung on and missed. Nick Swisher trying to snap out of an 0 for 11. And he drives one to right center field in the gap. And that'll one-hop the fence. Swisher rolls into second base with a one-out double here in the first inning. Boy, he sent that one to the wall with authority.
Well, that's the way you want to hit the baseball into this wind. He left an off-speed pitch up in the strike zone, and that line drive cuts it through it. This will be our McDonald's. I'm loving it. A one-inning, first inning double to give the Indians a chance to get on the board here. For Swisher, that'll be his 9th double.
And it will bring up Michael Brantley. Brantley is hit in 5 straight games. 1 for 4 last night with a double. Takes a strike. Over his last 5 games, Michael Brantley has 7 hits in 21 at-bats. Tied for 6th in the American League with 23 runs batted in. And he drives one to center field. Swisher coming around third. Mike Sarbaugh's going to wave him home. Here comes the throw to the plate. It's up the line, and Swisher scores standing. Ball gets by Deduno, and down to second base easily is Michael Brantley. Picks up his 24th run batted in on the year, and the Indians have a 1-0 lead.
Well, the best RBI man takes advantage of it and drills it right into center field. Another pitch up and away, and Brantley stayed on it nicely. Swisher going to come around to score, and Fold comes in, and he thinks he's going to throw him out, and Michael goes into second base with his head down a little bit. I don't know if he would have been able to make it to third, but he just cruised into second base on the throw.
So up comes Carlos Santana. And we'll see if he can snap out of his funk the way Nick Swisher did with a ringing double to right center field. Santana now 0 for his last 12. The Indians will play from in front tonight. Broken bat bouncer to first base. And that's out number 2 as Brantley slides over to third. It's going to bring up David Murphy as we take a look at our keys to the game, brought to you by Akron Children's Hospital. For Josh Tomlin, throw strikes, work quickly, and that's what we saw right out of the gate tonight, and put the O in offense. And the Indians come out swinging tonight. Swisher doubles, Brantley drives him home, and the Indians have a 1-0 lead. Now Brantley at third with 2 down, David Murphy. Best hitter in the league with runners in scoring position. A swing and a miss. Murphy is batting .474 so far this year. That's tops in the AL with a runner in scoring position. Looking for that tough 2-out RBI hit here in the first. Chopped foul first base side. And the count is 0-2 on David Murphy.
That's Swisher and Brantley, the back-to-back hits. That's only the second time the Indians have been able to do that in the last 4 games. Back-to-back hits. So,
well, not surprising. I mean, they haven't really scored.
No, they have not. And when they did, the one game, a couple of unearned runs.
Slow chopper to first. Goes through the legs. The Indians get a gift run. They lead it 2-0. Colabello had it go right through the wickets. And Murphy is aboard here in the first as Brantley comes home with an unearned run for Cleveland.
Boy, oh boy, does it get any easier? I mean, when you look at this on the slow motion, on our Wendy's slow motion replay, watch this. He is right there. It can't be hit any slower. That's what you call pulling up the tailgate a little too quickly. Right between the wickets, and the Indians are given another run, and they will certainly take it.
Well, the Indians have had their own defensive problems early in the season. So they're probably saying, well, it's nice to know it's not just us.
You know, sometimes when you make errors, they got to run when the error was made. So they'll certainly take it.
13 out of 15 pitches thrown by Samuel DeDuno here in the inning have been strikes. But the Indians have jumped on a couple of them. Swisher the double, Brantley the RBI single. Cabrera now in the hole, 0-2. Asdrubal Cabrera is 0 for his last 8. Even though over his last 5 games, he's picked up 5 hits, covering 20 at-bats. Checked on a ball in the dirt. Cabrera's going to see a steady diet of pitches like that until he proves that he will stop chasing them, because a number of times opposing pitchers have been able to get him to really widen his strike zone to extremes. Now the 2-2. And he's able to lay off full count.
As I mentioned before with Cabrera, it's not like he's willing to take walks. You know what I mean? He gets himself back into a count like he has here, and it's almost like he has to swing at everything unless he can't hit that, ball 4 pitch. He gets himself out many times.
Murphy will be off at first, and on the 3-2, Cabrera swings and misses, and the inning is over. But the Indians come out swinging tonight. Indians with a pair in the first, and they lead it 2-0. For Minnesota, Chris Colabello to lead it off. Josh Tomlin with a 1-2-3 first inning and a first pitch strike to Colabello here in the second. I mentioned that when Josh Tomlin made his major league debut back in 2010, it was against the New York Yankees, and it was against CC Sabathia. He went 7 innings, 1 run allowed on 3 hits, no walks, struck out 2, and faced the minimum number of batters in that game.
Yeah, and he's been amazing. He had that string of at least 5 innings, consecutively.
37 starts.
Where he went out there, and I mean, you look up, and an hour later, you're in the 5th inning because he goes out and he throws strikes.
One hop smash to short. And Cabrera takes care of Colabello, 1 away. Our great clip of the game from last night. Let's stick with that starting pitching theme. Zach McAllister, dynamite.
Yeah. Hey, you got no complaints about the way the starters have gone through this last time through the rotation. They've been outstanding. Masterson and then Kluber and McAllister. And hopefully Josh Tomlin just falls into suit. And, Tomlin, he was vying for that number 5 spot in spring training and very easily, I think, could have made this team. But his problem was he had an option left. They wanted to see Carrasco, who was out of options, so he got an opportunity to start and was given 5 starts, and he didn't cut it. So now Tomlin's going to get an opportunity.
David Murphy on the move into the corner, out of real estate, comes back and makes the catch.
Thank you, Wynn.
I think that ball moved a couple of times.
Yeah,
it might have taken a crazy hop in the air.
I thought that ball was out of here when he first hit it, but watch where he comes. That wind sort of pushed it back. He thought it was out of play, and he's going to come back and put it away. That wind is doing the exact same thing as it did last night.
The batter now is Kurt Suzuki.
Another guy down there, Trevor Bauer, could have been up here to make this start. The way that kid's pitching, he's been pitching very well too.
Suzuki looks at a ball down low. Well, it's always good to have options, whether out of injury necessity or performance as necessity.
Well, I would think also, too, with Danny Salazar, who's made a good start out in San Francisco. But, his days could be numbered, too, the way he's been out there. He's got to give you some distance. Hasn't been able to do it. And Bauer's sitting waiting in the wings.
Competition usually keeps everybody on their toes. Boy, good pitch. Didn't miss by much. 2-1. Suzuki showing a good eye at the plate. Those aren't missing by much. 3-1 to count. Rip foul and a full count. Yan Gomes calls for the off-speed pitch, and it's hit into left field for a base hit. First hit of the night for Minnesota, and a 2-out base runner here in the second. Stat of the game brought to you by Buick. Indian starting pitchers have been on a roll. Last 3 games. Whew.
Those 2 guys are about as good as you can get. And nothing to show for it, really. So that's the unfortunate thing, but it certainly doesn't diminish for what they did when they went out there on the rubber They were very good. 27 punch-outs and 4 walks.
Eduardo Escobar. He delivered the crusher last night in the 10th inning. It was his first homer since June 20th of last year. Count 1-1. A little bit low, 2 balls and a strike. Tomlin is a tough guy to run on, even if you are a base stealer.
Yes. He does a great job of, and always has, since he first came up, controlling the running game. He went a while, I think he went a whole year where nobody even attempted a stolen base.
That's socked into center field, a base hit. Stopping at second base is Suzuki. And back-to-back singles with 2 outs here in the second inning for Minnesota.
Okay, a pair of 2-out hits. That ball looked like it was a little cutter. Line back up the middle.
Batter will be Chris Herman. Herman is 4 for 32 on the year. Like a lot of teams, the Twins are dealing with some early season injuries. Really have taken its toll on their outfield, losing Josh Willingham as well as Oswaldo Arcia. Willingham hit off of a tee today and reported no issues, and Oswaldo Arcia, they feel like he'll be back very soon as well. In the meantime, Chris Herman filling in. Fouls that pitch off. It's 0-2. Also, Joe Mauer out of the lineup again tonight for Minnesota.
Yeah, that's a killer for them when your best hitter is on the bench, not playing.
Twins reporters are hoping to get a chance to speak with Mauer before the game. That didn't happen, so they're going to hope to catch up with him after the game to see what the status is there. Go right to the source. Here's the 0-2. Got him looking. Josh Tomlin yields a pair of singles with 2 outs here in the second, but strikes out Herman to end the frame, and the Indians lead it 2-0. Honda dealers. By the Cleveland Clinic. Call today for an appointment today. And by the Northeast Ohio Ford dealers. Bottom third of the Indians' order here in the home half of the second. Lonnie Chisenhall to lead it off. Pitch outside for ball one. Big chopper in the hole and a base hit for Chisenhall. Lonnie with a leadoff single here in the second. Injury report tonight brought to you by the attorneys at Elk and Elk. Talked about Joe Mauer, Willingham, Oswaldo Arcia, and Mike Pelfrey threw in the bullpen today. He's dealing with a groin issue.
Well, all those guys are starters. Hicks, their center fielder. Mauer, their first baseman. Yeah, so they have some. They're still hanging in there. Still doing a decent job at 500.
Yan Gomes takes a strike. Well, right now, Ron Gardenhire's playing with a short bench because the Twins have 13 pitchers. So they're. Oh, Diduno dropped the ball, so a balk, and that's going to send Chisenhall down to second base.
You know, it doesn't seem like much, but that's a mistake you don't want to make. He's going to go start up.
Whoopsie.
Falls out of the hand. Look at him looking for a little moisture. Maybe it's slick. I don't know. You don't see that too often.
Now Diduno steps off, and out goes the catcher Suzuki to have a chat.
Well, the Twin starters, they posted a 298 earned run average with the opponents hitting 235 over their last 8 games. Now, their starters are dead last in the league when it comes to ERA and everything, so they've been a lot better recently. They had not allowed a run in 13 innings until the first inning here. Diduno in his first start. He has been coming out of the bullpen.
Well, Diduno, they were hoping might be able to stabilize the rotation for them. With Pelfrey's the one who has really been struggling. The other starters, as I mentioned last night, they're starting to get on a little bit of a roll. Now the 0-1. Gomes lines one to left center field. That's in the gap. That's going to head to the wall. Scoring is Chisenhall. Gomes into second base with a double, and the Indians' lead is 3-0. Yan Gomes with his 6th double of the year, his 11th run batted in, and that, folks, was a laser shot.
That's good to see. Off the bat of Yan Gomes, he finally delivers there. You had a runner in scoring position because of the balk. He got himself a breaking ball middle of the plate and drives it into the gap, so a good job. He was hitting just 174 with runners in scoring position.
Jose Ramirez tried to bunt, but fouled it off. Lonnie Chisenhall getting it started with another base hit. Twins pinch at the corners. And Ramirez swings this time and pops it to shallow center, and Fold got a late break on it, but he's there for out number 1.
Well, follow every Indians game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Give live look-ins, instant replay, audio, scores, the free MLB game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Indians.com.
Nigel Morgan grounded out his first time up. Morgan, who has virtually been an exclusive hitter against right-handed pitching. He has one at-bat on the year against lefties. Ripped foul. But he's got 10 hits and 31 at-bats against right-handers. Gomes with a hard ground ball to second. Dozier throws him out. 2 down. Gomes moves over to third. Nick Swisher got it started with 1 out in the first inning when he doubled to right center field. And then Michael Brantley brought him home with a solid stroke into center. Then a little harmless looking ground ball went right between the legs of Chris Colabello, and the Indians tacked on a second run.
It's almost like he hit him a changeup. But that was an extra run given, and they come right back and had back-to-back hits in this inning. The leadoff man Chisenhall singled, and then Gomes doubled. They didn't get him over, though.
And now they'll look again for the 2-out hit from Nick Swisher. Well, Swish he went to the fresh shaved look tonight. And it pays off with a double. And another line smash into center field. Better keep those razors sharp.
Yeah, I like that hit. That's a big hit right there. 2 out. That's something you got to get going here in Cleveland in this lineup. And he got a breaking ball. He kept his hands back, stayed back on it, and he low bridges Deduno. He goes right back, and you'll see he knows it's coming back hard and fast. So it's 4-0 Tribe now.
So 2 down, Swisher at first. Michael Brantley the batter, as the Indians have jumped out to a 4-0 lead here tonight. Chop slowly towards second base. Dozier will flip it, and the inning is over. But the Indians continue to swing the bats well here tonight. 2 more on the board, 4-0 Cleveland. For Minnesota here in the third, Danny Santana will lead it off. Inside corner, a called strike. Got in on him, popped him up. David Murphy calls off Ramirez, and that's out number one.
And I could hear him from up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He said, get out of there.
Time now for our AT&T fan photo. Reminder, you can tweet your photos to us using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in one of our telecasts. It's all courtesy of AT&T. Now Brian Dozier takes a strike. When we were in spring training, I saw Josh Tomlin, and I went up to him and I said, you know, has anybody ever told you that right now the way you got the hair growing and the mustache, you're a dead ringer for another Texan?
Yeah, well, I was going to say another Texan.
Who was a pretty good pitcher in his day, and that's Doug Drabick. And he said, you know, people have actually compared me to him in my career. He said, I think probably because we're both from Texas. But I just...
Does he know a lot about Doug Drabick?
He knows him. Yeah, he
He's followed him, and he knows him. Okay.
Yep.
Well, it should be a compliment. But you're right. They do look alike, as you got that picture there.
I called it up on my computer
it's
just
beautiful.
for you to see it. Got the moss in the back hair. That was in vogue back when Drabick pitched in the 90s,
well,
you know.
Yeah, the mullets back then, yes.
And the mustache.
But he's got to let his grow a little bit more now. Josh does. But he won't be in those multicolored Houston uniforms, though.
And when Drabick pitched for the Pirates, they had that Pirate mascot or logo at the time and featured the guy with the mustache. And Drabick was a dead ringer for their own mascot. Boy, Tomlin cruises through the third on just 7 pitches. And the Indians are in command tonight, 4-0. Stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Third inning, home half, and for the Indians it will be Carlos Santana, David Murphy, and Asdrubal Cabrera. Santana grounded to first his only time up back in the first inning. Takes 2 quick strikes from Deduno, and the count is 0-2.
Tell you, Suzuki moves around behind that plate pretty well, doesn't he? Moves that body around, scooping baseballs.
Yeah, he's very active. Swung it on and missed. He chased one in the dirt.
Well, another dollar dog night will take place on May 16th. The Indians will come home to play the Oakland A's after this road trip. It'll be dollar dogs all night long. Visit Indians.com for your tickets.
David Murphy reached on an error in the first. Takes a strike. Murphy looks at a pitch down low, 2-1 the count. Hard hit ground ball. Dozier went to a slide for it, couldn't come up with it. And Murphy's aboard with a 1-out single.
You know, at first I thought that ball was going to be in the hole where he had to do something. Not so sure that he had to slide. Could he have gotten that ball standing up? I believe so. When he went into that slide, it moved his glove a little bit. And he couldn't catch it cleanly.
Almost like it caught him in between. He didn't know what to do.
You know what? He thought he was going to have to do that slide to get it originally, and I think by the time he got there, he didn't really have to do it, but he already committed, and it went off the heel of the glove. So it'll go as a base hit for Murphy, so he'll certainly take it.
As Dribble Cabrera steps up 1-on, 1-out. Cabrera struck out his first time up. Takes outside ball 1. Boy, pretty nasty pitch. Cabrera didn't like it. And it's 1-1. Now the Duno, he wanted that pitch and he didn't get the call, so it's 2-1. The Indians have really jumped on the mistakes by Duno, and I say mistakes. Any ball that's been out over the plate or in the zone, they have hammered. Now Cabrera bounces one wide of first. Colabello there gets the out at second, back to first. That's an inning-ending double play. We've played 3 tonight. The Indians out in front 4-0. For Minnesota, 3, 4, and 5 hitters due up. Josh Tomlin has recorded the last 4 outs in the game on 10 pitches, and that includes a strikeout. That was fouled right back into Gomes. He took the brunt of that one. Brian O'Nora going to walk him out to the mound, give him a moment to collect himself, get the feeling back. I think that ball got him on the wrist as he's checking it out.
Sure did. He's not looking at his watch.
What time is it?
Yeah, if it is, it's busted. Oh, it's
on the ricochet.
Oh, deflection off the mask.
Yeah.
Came straight down.
So Gomes trying to shake it off. And even though it's a few degrees warmer than it was last night, it's still chilly. Now the 0-1 to Plouffe. Hit out of play. No balls, 2 strikes. Trevor Plouffe tied for 8 in the American League with 22 runs batted in. Last night he was 1 for 5 in the game, punched out 3 times. Tomlin couldn't get him to bite on that pitch.
Plouffe, a guy that has always hit the Indians well. He's a .337 hitter in this ballpark.
He's a guy who's really starting to pan out nicely for Minnesota. Came in with a 4-game hit streak. Smashes that one towards second. Gobbled up by Jose Ramirez, 1 away. Right now on FoxSportsOhio.com. Click on Game Day Live and submit your Tribe questions. Where do the Indians rank amongst the best in baseball? And the draft is in 48 hours. Who are the Browns after? Try to narrow that down to at least 8 to 10. Complete coverage of all today's action involving Ohio sports on FoxSportsOhio.com. Chris Colabello grounded to short his first time up. And he went too far, strike 1.
The one thing you got to like about Josh Tomlin, he used all 4 quadrants of the strike zone. Up, down, in, and out with all of his pitches. And that's what he has to do to be effective. But I like what he did in the after the top of the third. He went out there on 7 pitches after they scored and had a shutdown inning and got that offense right back in. There's a nice changeup.
Bottom really fell out of that thing.
For Tomlin tonight, 6, 0-2, 1-2 counts to this point.
Colabello went fishing. Second strikeout for Tomlin. 2 down in the inning.
And he expands the strike zone, and that's what you can do right there. It was off the plate right to begin with, and it was a teaser pitch, and he got him to chase after it. That's something that Kluber, McAllister have been doing so well. You know, the 0-2, 1-2 counts, and that's why the strikeouts have been piling up.
Now Jason Kubel. Kubel hit a high drive to right field. At one moment you thought that might be out of here. And the next moment you thought it was going to be out of play foul, and then David Murphy caught it. But with the wind blowing in and then it might swirl around, you never know what it's doing in right field.
But that ball was really high.
Yes.
You know, that was hit. That had a lot of air underneath it.
The 0-2 offering. Oh, what a beauty. Curveball froze him at the dish. Third strikeout for Tomlin. He's set down 7 straight Twins.
Bands on May 17th as the Indians take on the A's right here at Progressive Field, and the 10,000 fans will receive an Indians tote bag courtesy of MLB Network. Just visit Indians.com for your ticket details.
Lonnie Chisenhall will lead off the home half of the fourth. He led off the second with a base hit and came around to score on the double by Yan Gomes. Well, the way Lonnie Chisenhall has swung the bat, the Indians are trying to think of other ways to keep his bat in the lineup. And so he's been taking some ground balls at first base.
Yeah, I've seen him out here the last few days. He's been out there, Rayburn, everybody. They're
just, and hey, if you need a day, whether Swisher needs a day off or you just want to shuffle the lineup around a little bit, give it a different look. If you want Santana and Chisenhall in there at the same time, obviously, if Santana's playing third, then maybe Chisenhall's going to DH. Well, if you want to get another bat in the lineup, then where else can we move Lonnie? So that, they feel like came up as a shortstop. He's played third. They feel like he's a good enough athlete. He should be able to transition over to first. But you're not just going to throw him out there without giving him plenty of work he's comfortable.
Yes, it takes time.
3-2 pitch. Ball 4. Time now for a Mazda game break. We'll go back to the studios and Al Pawlowski.
Hey, Matt, Rick, let's go to Detroit. The Astros taking on the Tigers. One run has been scored so far. It was hit by this guy. You may have heard of him, Miguel Cabrera. Solo home run to left, his third of the year. Robbie Ray making his major league debut for Detroit. He has a 1-0 lead, Matt.
All right, thanks, Al. Here the Indians lead it 4-0 in the fourth. And Yan Gomes coming up, doubled in a run and scored in the second. Popped up. That is going to get out of play. In the second inning, Yan hit a line drive. Frozen rope. And that plated Lonnie Chisenhall, who scored from second base. Hit off the end of the bat. It's in the hole. Dozier's there, flips it to Duduno, who did a nice job to get over and cover. Chisenhall into scoring position with one out here in the fourth. Thursday night, join Bruce Drennan live at Browns headquarters in Berea for all the reaction and analysis of the Browns' 2 first-round picks. It's all Thursday at 7:30 on Sports Time Ohio, brought to you by the Cleveland Metro Parks. Jose Ramirez popped to center his first time up. And the count now 2-1. Duduno right at 60 pitches. 40 out of the 60 have been strikes.
Yeah, he has only walked one, and normally that could be one of the problems for him. The Indians have 6 hits.
Big hopper to first. Colabello will go himself. 2 down. Chisenhall moves over to third. Well, Rick, whether it's a concerted effort on the part of the hitters tonight, or just simply the pitches that they're getting to swing at? I'm seeing more line drives tonight, and last night we saw a lot of fly balls.
Yeah.
And on a night like tonight with the conditions, line drives are obviously going to get you. Well, I mean, you could say that probably every day. Line drives are always better.
Right.
But again, I don't know if that's a product of, hey, let's make a better effort to, grind out each and every at bat, or if
Kyle
it's simply
Gibson had good stuff last night too, though. He was throwing the ball pretty well, but your line drive, ground ball strokes on a day like today, if you hit it in the air, you're not going to get any help. But Swisher has the line drive double. Gomes, the gappers, both gappers, the extra base hits tonight were the line drive varieties.
Brantley's base hit, the center that drove in a run, was a line shot right up the middle.
Right.
Runner at third with 2 down. Nyjer Morgan at the plate. Another chopper to first. Colabello will have to flip it, and the inning is over. 4 complete. It's the Indians 4 and the Twins nothing. Sunnyside Chevrolet in Elyria. Sunny will save you money. By Levin Furniture. And by Kia. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. All bundled up here in Cleveland. Once again, another chilly night at the ball yard. But the weather guys tell us tomorrow's going to be spectacular.
They did? Who'd you talk to tonight?
I don't know. I'm making stuff up now.
Don't start doing that because, I may come in shorts tomorrow.
It can't be any worse, right?
Well, it wouldn't be bad if the wind was blowing out.
We shouldn't complain, right? It's not raining. So what do we have to complain about?
I'm not complaining. Not at all.
Yes, you are. 17 out of his last 18 for strikes. He's been a machine.
Yeah, throwing darts.
Well, according to the forecast, 70 tomorrow, 76 on Thursday, so I'll take it. The inside corner called strike, and the count 1-2. Down on the dirt, good block by Gomes. Always got to be working on that stuff, even when there's nobody on base. It's almost like it becomes habit, doesn't it?
Well, you get into good habits, and that's how you work at it. But even if he swings and misses it and that ball gets away from you, he could reach first. So you do have to try and put a body on it with 2 strikes.
It's the old assume. You can't ever assume. A little bit high, full count. Kurt Suzuki putting up another good at bat. He's been good not only behind the plate, but offensively swinging a good bat here. 30-plus games into the season. .317 average on the year. Tied for 8th in the league in runs batted in. Wow, didn't miss by much if he did. And it's a leadoff walk to Suzuki.
Really close pitch. And, you know, earlier in the, it looked like he wanted to call it, to be honest with you. Earlier in the at-bat, look at, was he practicing?
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
He said something earlier in the at-bat on a pitch inside. Now, whether it worked for him in that pitch right there, I don't know, but it was a close pitch. First walk for Tomlin.
Remember, he'd gone 18 straight innings in AAA without issuing a walk before getting the call up tonight to make his first start of the year. There's a strike called. Eduardo Escobar singled up the middle his first time up. Last night it was Escobar who played the role of the hero for the Minnesota Twins in the 10th inning. He jumped on the pitch and sent it out of here for his first home run of the year. And that was the only run of the game, as Minnesota won it 1-0 in 10 innings. Tribe's first extra inning game of the year. Double play.
Boy.
Swisher caught it, stepped on the bag, and the Indians quickly erased the leadoff walk.
Boy, that couldn't have been placed any better. I mean, it was a little humpback liner that Swisher goes back to the bag, and also watch the runner will take his step to second, and he knew it was too late. Swisher right there, steps on first, double play, easy double play. Oh, it couldn't have been thrown any better.
In there for a strike to Chris Herman, who was called out on strikes his first time up.
8 straight first pitch strikes for Tomlin.
To first base, Tomlin's over there to cover. Inning over. Josh Tomlin, like days of old, just cruising along here tonight. Completed as we go to the bottom of the 5th. Nick Swisher to lead it off. He's swinging like a man possessed here tonight. He doubled to right center and scored in the first, and then he singled home a run in the second with a line smash up the middle. Takes a strike over the outside edge.
Oh,
I think he hit him, didn't he?
It sounded like it, and it deflected.
Well,
I think
somebody got
him.
hit. I don't know if it was Nick.
No, he's got his bat. He did not. I guess the catcher and the umpire, it looked like a deflection back there.
I wonder if it maybe got Suzuki's glove and then caromed into Brian Honora.
I think it did. Either that or he didn't even get a glove on it and got Honora right in the foot, just above it or on the ankle. See, he didn't even get leather on it. The ump took the brunt of that. Well, and he hasn't found the strike zone since that pitch.
3-1 to count. Line to third. It's off the glove of Escobar. He gets up and throws, and he still got him.
I like the swing, though, by Swisher.
That thing was scorched, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was hit right on the nose. It was the other way. It's really a good swing. Let's see, it's hit where it's pitched. So hard that Escobar goes off his glove. He recovers nicely to get over in a hurry, and it does retire Swisher. Good swing, though.
Well, that's a great sign because that's 3 times up, and Swisher's hit a line drive all 3 at bats. Now Michael Brantley, 1 for 2 with an RBI and a run scored. A little bit high. Michael with his team-leading 24th RBI in the first inning. Got the Indians on the board in the first. Tied for 6th in the league when the day began in runs batted in.
You know, given he's in that number 3 hole now, you give him opportunities. I'll tell you what, Michael Brantley, see 8 go-ahead RBIs. That's, without hitting a lot of home runs, he's about as good as it gets when he come in the clutch.
Well, there's something to be said for, I don't know what the right terminology is. I've heard low heartbeat, that whole thing, but he's just, Dr. Smooth. He's
patient.
Yeah.
He's patient.
He doesn't let things speed up on him.
He has confidence. He doesn't want to get to 2 strikes, but we talked to him the one time, and he says, you get to 2 strikes, you take what they give you.
Santana sends one in the air, pretty well hit to deep left, but it dies out there tonight, 2 down. In-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. It was Brantley in the first with a line smash into center field that plated Nick Swisher with the game's first run. Then Yan Gomes made it 3-0 when he doubled home Chisenhall in the second. And Nick Swisher with his second hit of the night brought home Yan Gomes, 4-0 Cleveland. David Murphy reached on an error, and that was a critical play in the first inning because it looked like the Twins weren't going to get out of the inning and only allow the 1 run. But Murphy's ground ball somehow eluded Chris Colabello at first, and the Tribe got that second run. And 2 more in the second. 75th pitch of the night for DeDuno. some stirring in the Minnesota bullpen, and I believe we're just about ready to get some action down there. As you look back, this should have been the final out of the inning instead.
Yeah, you just want to get a shovel, dig a hole, and crawl into it after you make a play like that. Not much you could do. It doesn't get any easier, but that was the second run in the first inning. Well, you mentioned he'd be around that 80 pitch mark tonight for Deduno, so.
Logan Darnell getting loose. Another left-hander. Seems like they've got nothing but left-handers in that bullpen.
That's all we saw last night coming out. Dunsing,
Tealbar,
and Perkins.
Murphy with a hard ground ball right at the second baseman, Dozier. And the inning is over. 5 in the books. The Indians 4, the Twins nothing. You can tweet your photos to us by using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming ball game. It's all courtesy of AT&T. Danny Santana will lead off here in the 6th for Minnesota. Showed bunt, pulled it back. Santana making his first major league start tonight for Minnesota. Twins had him working in the outfield. They thought maybe with Florimone at short they could get Santana up here to the big leagues and maybe break him in the outfield. But Ron Gardenhire's been watching him take ground balls, and he said, you know what, I think I like this kid at shortstop.
This kid can run. Got his first major league hit last night, and he hit a ground ball to shortstop. And I mean, he was by the bag by the time the ball got to first base. And that's what they'll have him do. Slap that ball on the ground the other way and run.
Well, last night, John Axford gave up the home run to Eduardo Escobar. That was the only run of the ball game. And afterwards, Axford faced the music. It's our Here Right Audiology sounds of the game.
It's a shame that my performances in the back end last 2 days is kind of taking precedent over, a great hitting performance by George and 2 outstanding starting pitching performances from Kluber and Max. So hopefully everyone knows that those guys are doing their best and working hard and doing fantastic for us, and we'll piece it all together as a club soon and start pulling out some wins.
When you're at that closer spot, it's almost like the old saying: "When I do good, no one remembers. When I do bad, no one forgets." The losses are so crushing because of the dramatic nature of being the closer. that they tend to get a lot more focused than when you just go out there and do your job.
Well, people forgot he saved 9 out of his first 10. Now all of a sudden he had a hiccup on Sunday. It comes right back in a tie game and gives it up. But that's the nature of that business. You got to see after you blow a save exactly what happens after that. He'll bounce back. He needs another chance. He will not pitch tonight if given the opportunity. He's got to be shut down for a day because he's pitched too many days in a row.
Dozier strikes out. Gomes completes the out by firing it down to first, and that's 4 Ks for Tomlin now.
And you can see when he gets to 2 strikes, he has a tendency to go with that big, slow breaking ball, but he throws it he bounces it, gets him to chase after it. And look how tidy. You have a 7-pitch inning, an 8-pitch inning. That's where you can go out there and you can go deep into a ball game.
Well, and this is exactly what Terry Francona was hoping for. Swisher makes the nice play on the carom there. He, he's looking out in that bullpen. He's used Axford, 3 days in a row. He's used Cody Allen 3 days in a row. 3 out of 4.
Right.
Plus he was up the one day and hot and ready to come in the ball game. So they're a little short-handed in the back end tonight. So they're going to try to piece it together.
Well, this is Josh Tomlin. This is what you get when he goes out there. He comes out and, you keep an eye on him when he gets to around that 85 pitch mark.
Pop foul. Swisher can't get to that one.
The first time through the lineup, he gave up 2 hits. Second time through the lineup, he just breezed through because he pounded the strike zone. He had the 7 in the 8-pitch inning, and now that we'll see the third time through what happens. A lot of times that's what gets to a lot of pitchers that second or third time through. But he's only given up 2 hits to this point. He's only walked 1. He struck out 4. Second time through 31 pitches he went through the lineup with 24 strikes.
Well, I mean, in your day, you would see a starting pitcher 4 times in a ball game.
Yes, you would. You'd
Nowadays,
see him at least
it's
3.
rare.
Yes, it is. Well, what is the average? You mentioned it yesterday. 6 pitchers a game?
Almost 6 pitchers per ball game, yeah.
So that's crazy. But, I mean, now you carry 13 pitchers. You have 8-man bullpens. Some teams do. And minimum 7.
And there's a lot of resources allocated to those bullpens, so you're inclined to use them.
Well, you have to use them. You're going to pay them to sit there and you let your starter pitch. And that's sometimes a fault. But that's the nature of the game nowadays. They used to have 10-man pitching staffs. Some teams would go with 9 if they had starters that, good starters that could give you some length.
But you have now teams with multiple specialists, guys who are literally out there to get one hitter a game maybe.
Yeah, if need be. That is part of the game that has changed a lot.
Up high, full count.
Your starter gets around that 100-pitch mark, and it's, oh, my goodness, we got to get him out of there, regardless if he had problems or not. I'm sure a lot of people felt that way with Kluber on Sunday, 110 pitches and breezing through that game. Why did you take him out? Why didn't you leave him in? Why didn't you let him close the game? Because the guy blew the save. Well, that's the closer's job. If you blow it, you got to answer the questions.
It's one of those things, I think, that for a manager, and this isn't Terry Francona's problem, this is any manager's problem. If you don't go to your bullpen and the starter coughs it up, then the questions are, well, why didn't you go to your bullpen? Why didn't you go to your closer?
I mean, that's always second. And he said, I was not going to let him go out there and give up the first base hit and take him out of the ball game. And then put that on the closer.
Santana makes the grab, and Josh Tomlin is making it look easy here tonight. 6 complete for Tomlin, and the Indians lead it 4-0. Cleveland Clinic, call to the bullpen. It's not Sandy Alomar. He will not be pitching in tonight's ballgame.
No, that was batting practice earlier today.
No, it's Logan Darnell, who was just called up early May when the center fielder Aaron Hicks went on the DL. And Darnell made 4 starts at AAA Rochester, but he'll come out of the bullpen here tonight.
Major League debut, I believe. Coming out here to say welcome to the big leagues, my friend.
So that's, 2 games in a row now?
Yes.
Who was it last night? It was...
let me see.
It was Danny Santana.
Yeah. Got his first major league hit.
Now Logan Darnell facing his Drupal Cabrera, who is 0 for 2. It stays fair, and Suzuki will throw him out. Going to bring up Lonnie Chisenhall, who singled and scored in the second. He walked the lead off the fourth, got to third, but was stranded there. On a good off-speed pitch. Really pulled the string that time.
Yeah, that one was at about 71, 72 miles an hour, down and away.
Bounce to first. And on the flip, he just does beat Chisenhall to the bag, 2 away.
Well, the first of 2 firework nights at Progressive Field will be May 16th and 17th, as the A's will be in town. It'll be Friday and Saturday night. And on Friday night, we'll be set to the best of Bruce Springsteen. And on Saturday, the 80s metal bands. So come on out. Visit Indians.com for the details. Get your tickets. Those are always fun, and hopefully it'll be a lot warmer in about another week or 10 days.
Yan Gomes doubled in a run and scored in the second inning. Grounded out his last time up. Darnell deals, and Gomes swing and a miss. Well, you can tell the Indians have no familiarity with Darnell when he's been able to change speeds on them. They've been fooled. Might take a little time to...
Well, if you go into the clubhouse before a game, you'll see the starting pitcher. They'll have videos, but never the relievers.
That one's crushed pretty well. Deep left center on the track, and making the catch is Sam Fuld.
How about that?
Ball just will not carry tonight. 1, 2, 3 go the Indians. We head to the 7th, 4-zip Cleveland. Panini's overstuffed Cam. And tonight, Josh Tomlin making his return to the big leagues with the Tribe. He did get back last year for one brief cameo out of the bullpen. But this was a big night for him because you work so hard when you go through that Tommy John surgery, the long rehab, the loneliness that you spend rehabbing, right, all by yourself while the team's playing. You can't be part of it. And he went to spring training determined to win a job. It didn't work out for him, but he has come up here tonight, and he has been special.
Well, that's what you work for. Your way to get back to the big leagues, to prove that you can still pitch. And how many times do you think doubt has creeped into that mind when you're rehabbing and it seems so long? I remember we were in Texas last year and he visited us. They gave him a treat and says, "Come on from Arizona to Texas and we'll go out there." And he was like a kid.
Yeah, you could tell how much he missed it, how much he wanted to be part of it. Even in September when he got the call up, he wanted to go out there and pitch in meaningful situations in meaningful games just and help the team get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
The 0-1. Hit in the air to right. Murphy's there. And David makes the grab for out number 1. As promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Well, I mentioned before, Josh Tomlin made his debut in 2010. He went 7 innings against the New York Yankees in his debut and faced the minimum in 7 innings. And he's almost just as good here tonight.
Well, just look at him, spotting a fastball inside corner, changing up, turning it over, curveballs in the dirt. He's been fun to watch. It's nice to have him back. And he's thrown 82 pitches to this point. You're in the 7th inning.
And there for a strike.
And today's the day to get the fly ball outs because the wind's blowing in. 6 ground outs, 4 punch outs. 12 of his 19 outs have come on 3 pitches or less. I don't know if
that ball is clobbered deep to left, and it's out of here. Boy, on a night where you didn't know if anybody could hit one out of here to left, Chris Colabello got into that one. His 4th home run of the year and his 28th run batted in. It gets the Twins on the board. And the Indians' lead is cut to 4-1.
Okay, you get a fastball. That one location was not there. He smoked that pitch. That ball was middle of the plate, and Colabello took advantage of it. So he hit it good into that wind if it gets up into the bleachers.
Jason Kubel sends one high in the air to right field again. David Murphy over near the seats, and this one gets out of play.
Nice
and
catch.
A nice grab.
No, he's out. Looks like Joel Skinner made that catch. Good play. Brought the glove, came in handy. Goes home with a souvenir.
You're going Joel Skinner there, huh?
Well, when he was looking up for it, he was the catcher. Skins in, extra batting practice.
Yeah.
Right. Look at him. He's playing.
He should be fired up.
Yes, he is.
Phone's blowing up.
There it is.
You're on TV.
Exactly. They just called you Joel Skinner.
Now the 1-2 pitch.
Oh,
Kubel
boy.
didn't mean
How
to.
about that? Forget it.
And Santana has no play.
Excuse me? Base hit. See, that's exactly what can happen when you do play a shift, one of these. He didn't even mean to swing the bat, but the ball stays fair. And probably 90 times out of 100, he can't do that. He couldn't do it again if he tried.
Mickey Callaway's going to take a walk to the mound as the Indians just now get the bullpen busy. And I believe it's Mark Zubczynski. It is. We're in the 7th with 1 on, 1 out. Kurt Suzuki will be the batter. Tomlin's at 89 pitches, as you see there. 62 of those 89 pitches have been strikes. Tomlin deals, and that's in there for a strike. Suzuki has singled and walked tonight. Yeah, Tomlin, after that excuse me check swing single, comes right back against Suzuki with 2 quick strikes. Hit foul. Only thing he could do with that pitch.
Yeah, if he wanted to get it out, he wouldn't have been able to keep that pitch fair. Tomlin tonight ahead of a lot of hitters. 12-0, 2-1-2 counts.
Popped him up.
That'll
and
stay.
Nick Swisher says, I've got it. He does. 2 down. 2 bitter rivals step in to coach the UFC's next generation of fighters as they go head-to-head. The all-new season of The Ultimate Fighter. Team Edgar versus Team Penn, only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. That's going to be it for Josh Tomlin. He'll leave to a standing ovation here tonight.
Well, Josh, that's got to make him feel good. That a long, hard road has paid off, at least in this first start it has.
93 pitches. He leaves with a 4-1 lead here in the 7th. He did a tremendous job here tonight when the Indians definitely needed a start to get them deep into the ball game with a bullpen that's a little weary right now. Pitched into the 7th, has 2 down here. The batter, Eduardo Escobar. He'll bat from the right side now against the lefty Mark Zipchinski, who comes on for the 17th time this year.
Came on last night in the 10th and threw 1 pitch.
Did he
yes,
go?
He did. I think he did.
They're going to appeal, and yes, he did. Goes
it
first base
like
umpire Doug Eddings.
It sure looked like it to me. There you go. He tried to decoy it, but couldn't hold it. Eddings saw it.
One ball and 2 strikes. The 1-2 delivery. Oh, got a piece of it. And Escobar stays alive. Checked on a swing. It was in the dirt. And now it's 2-2. Fouled back again. Escobar fighting him off and staying alive here in this at-bat. A little bit low and now a full count. So Escobar has put up a heck of an at-bat here. Making Zipchinski really work hard to get this final out of the inning. And the payoff pitch is fouled away. Jason Kuba will be off and moving again. Scott Atchison. He is loose and ready to go, but you got a left-handed hitter next. 3-2.
The ball bounced.
Did he go? He did go, but the ball gets away.
Well, he did swing. They checked.
Yeah,
first base umpire
I thought he
Doug
fouled
Eddings.
it off, but obviously he didn't.
It sounded like that because we heard something tip. It must have been in the dirt. And when he checked his swing, and the ball got away from Gomes, he couldn't track it down. So the base runner, he wisely Escobar heads to first base. You see it went off his chest protector, and Gomes lost it.
He tried to catch it instead of like throwing up the roadblock and keep it in front of him. And
off the mask.
It bounced well in front of him.
So there's your third out, but he reaches first base.
Now the left-handed hitting Chris Herman, and it's ball one. Chop foul, first base side, 1-1. And the 1-1 to center. Morgan darting in. He's there. He makes the catch. The inning is over. The Twins get on the board, but the Indians still lead it 4-1. Stretch time in Cleveland. 7th inning stretch brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. Life is hard. Buying a car shouldn't be.
Your kid $15 of loaded value for use on concessions or merchandise. And every Sunday game is Kids Fun Day right here at Progressive Field. So log on to Indians.com and get your tickets today.
Jose Ramirez to lead off the bottom of the 7th, breaks his bat, lines it to short for out number 1. Time for a Mazda game break. Back to the studios and Al Pawlowski.
Matt, the Red Sox hosting the Reds tonight at Fenway Park. Bottom of the 3rd inning, our old friend Grady Sizemore. A single to right field scores a run. Boston takes a 3-1 lead. They still hold it now in the bottom of the 5th. 3-1. Red Sox over the Reds. Matt?
Rematch of the 1975 Fall Classic. One of the greatest World Series games maybe ever played in that tremendous Game 6. Carlton Fisk.
Well, that was a very good series. You're right.
The birth of the Big Red Machine is you see Ryan Rayburn stepping into pinch hit here for Nyjer Morgan. Boy, the next year they came back and waxed the Yankees. I think they swept them 4 straight in the 76 World Series. 3-0. Rayburn hits one high in the air, deep to right. Back is Herman and makes the catch. 2 down. Nick Swisher got it rolling for the Tribe tonight. First inning, he doubled to right center field and then came around to score the Indians' first run of the ball game. Then in the second, that line drive single up the middle made it 4-0. The Indians have not scored since. In fact, since Nick's RBI single, they have just one hit.
Well, and he hit the ball right on the nose his third time up. He just lined out.
Yeah, he did.
If you remember, it went off his glove, and he had to pick it up at third base and throw him out at first and just barely got him. So he's really had 3 good swings tonight.
And maybe on a normal evening, that ball Rayburn hit would have been a home run.
Yeah, he hit that ball pretty well.
Did.
The elements, man, the last 2 nights, it's just not fair. I mean, it's good time to pitch, and you hang with them. You don't hit the ball in the air. There's a couple of exceptions, but it's tough to go opposite field tonight.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, any night, but tonight especially.
Swisher drives one to left. And Kubel makes the catch. The Indians go in order. We go to the 8th. 4-1 Tribe. Comes your way next right here on Sports Time Ohio. Scott Atchison will be the new Indians pitcher here in the 8th inning. Atchison on for the 11th time this year. No wins or losses. ERA of 2.31. In 11 2/3 innings, he's walked 3, struck out 8. He'll be facing Danny Santana, the number 9 hitter. And then we'll turn it over to the top of the order, Brian Dozier and Sam Folds schedule. Ryan Rayburn stays in the ballgame. He's in left. Michael Brantley moves over to center. Two balls, no strikes. Santana fly to right, fly to center. Now leading off here in the 8th. Out of play. 2-2. Swung and missed. Chase one in the dirt. And a low throw. Swisher couldn't come up with it. And another defensive miscue here. And the Twins get their leadoff man aboard. The throw was low and it was right at the bag. And Swisher went down. It looked like he had it, but the ball popped out.
Well, watch the footwork around the bag. He comes off to grab it, and it goes off the end of his glove.
Umpire almost got in the way of Gomes as he went to throw.
That's an error. They gave the error to Gomes.
I think Terry Francona might have been coming out to ask Brian Honora about that. I don't know that he bumped Gomes, but nothing in that play looked right. So, second straight inning, the Twins strike out and still end up with a runner aboard.
That's rare, isn't it? The second inning in a row where you get a strikeout and both of them reach first base.
I was just thinking of myself, Rick, about the only other time you ever see that is when you have like a knuckleballer.
Right. You could see it that way. But, I mean, that is very strange the way it's going.
To see two in the span of three hitters is rare. Double play ball. Cabrera to Ramirez on the first. Not in time. Dozier flying down the line, beats it out. And so 1-on-1 out here in the 8th now as Sam Fuld will be the batter.
You know, Dozier gets down the line. He runs pretty well, and it just wasn't hit hard enough. They tried to do it. They did a good job, but you can see where Dozier's foot goes on the base first before that ball gets there. Pretty good job turning it without the ball being hit right on the nose.
Fuld takes a strike. No balls and 2 strikes the count here on Fuld. Brian Shaw, right-hander, getting up along with the left-hander Josh Outman. Two and two. Hit to third. Santana goes to second. There's one, and that's all they get. 2 down. MLB on Fox Sports 1 is back Saturday with a doubleheader as Buster Posey and the Giants renew their rivalry with the Dodgers. Then the Indians take on Evan Longoria and the Rays. The action starts at 3:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Trevor Plouffe is the batter. He's 0 for 3 on the night. Slicing and out of play down the right side. 0-2. Couple of teams streaking in opposite divisions going into play tonight in the Central Division. Kansas City Royals have lost 5 in a row. They're out in San Diego to take on the Padres. Detroit has won 6 in a row, and they lead 4-0 over Houston in the 4-1 now over Houston. They're in the 6th inning in Detroit. Well, the Tigers getting hot. The 0-2. Got him looking. Scott Atchison strikes out a pair in the 8th. We'll go to the bottom half. The Indians lead at 4-1. The batter for Cleveland will be Michael Brantley. Logan Darnell, who has worked 2 scoreless innings, 2 perfect innings at that, will stay on to pitch the 8th inning. Indians came out firing tonight. They had 2 runs in the first on a back-to-back hits, a double by Swisher and an RBI single by Brantley. They scored 2 more in the second on 3 hits. But since that second inning, the Indians have just 1 hit in the ballgame. And that was a 1-out single by David Murphy in the 3rd. They had a walk in the 4th, a walk in the 5th. But the last 8 Indians have been retired in order. Brantley lays off a ball in the dirt. Brantley, a swing and a miss. He goes down, and that's out number 1 here in the bottom of the 8th. Our Hyundai box score looks like this tonight. Nick Swisher, I'll tell you what, he's had 4 good at-bats tonight. 2 hits, first time up, a line drive out in the 5th, and then drove one to deep left his last time up. So that's certainly a very positive sign for the Indians' offense. Lonnie Chisnall, another hit and a run scored. Jan Gomes, a ringing double. RBI and a run scored. Carlos Santana, still a work in progress. 0 for 3 tonight. Hitless in his last 15 trips. Breaking ball in there for a strike. Now the 2-2. Santana bangs it on the ground, foul.
You know, this young man has fared very well in his major league debut out on the mound. Logan Darnell pitched very good. He's got a nice curveball, pretty good fastball. It gets up there 91 or so. He's done a nice job keeping the game right where it's at.
Another line shot foul over by the Tribe dugout. That's going to send some guys changing their seats. Okay, I've had enough. The problem is when you sit, there's really nowhere to move if the ball comes at you.
You're pinned in.
You're kind of stuck.
You're pinned in unless you're on the edge of that bench.
Uh-huh.
You're right. You're the middle man in that domino. You can't move.
And Jason Kipnis on the men. They don't need to get him hit. Santana pops one up. And he is 0 for 4 tonight. 2 down here in the 8th. David Murphy coming to the plate. And with more on David Murphy's offensive success so far this year, let's go down to Katie.
Well, Matt, you and Rick have commented on the types of hits you've seen from David Murphy lately. You told me it's something he's done since a kid. He credits good hand and eye coordination, but he said in reality he's really just trying to foul off a pitch to get another one. But more times than not, it ends up working out. Kind of calls it his I'll take what I can get approach.
And I think a lot of times when he does that, Matt, I mean, you see his hands go out front, but his body isn't out front, so he's got really good hands where that's why he slaps him down the third baseline because the ball tracks all the way deep to the plate. You think it's by him, and it's like an emergency swing.
My favorite one was the great look we had. I think it was at home where we had the shot. The ball was actually, when he hit it, The ball was in foul territory when he hit it off the bat.
Down the third base
and yet
line.
he still got it fair for a base hit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's letting it really track deep. Darnell off the mound, throws a fastball to first, and the Indians go 1-2-3. We'll head to the ninth. The Indians lead it 4-1. Express and Total Car Care comes up after the game here on Sports Time Ohio. The Indians lead it by a score of 4-1, and on to try and close it out tonight is Brian Shaw. Shaw for the 17th time this year. A win, no losses, an ERA of 1.76. Shaw will go, it never fails. He'll have to go through 4, 5, and 6.
Sure.
The big boys.
Well, the one good thing now, they do have a 3-run lead. But, Shaw comes out, he throws strikes, he's tough. He's got Colabella, the right-hander, Kubel, the left-hander, Suzuki, the right-hander.
Brian Shaw has 3 career saves in the big leagues. His first career save came on April the 8th back in 2012 when he was with Arizona against the Giants. He picked up his second one at Colorado against the Rockies. And he had 1 save last year, his first in the American League. And it was one of those, it was that weird deal. Remember that rain-shortened game we had against Houston last year in September? He was credited with the save. It was a seven-inning game because of the rain. But nonetheless, he's the man right now here tonight. High fly ball, shallow right field. In comes David Murphy. 1 away here in the ninth. Looking back at our keys to the game, brought to you by Akron Children's Hospital. Josh Tomlin, throw strikes, work quickly.
That's all he knows how to do.
Check and check.
Yeah, right.
And the Indians offense, hey, they came out and punched him early. And Tomlin has made it stand up. Strike over the outside corner. The Indians bullpen, they're piecing it together tonight. John Axford had pitched in the last 3 games in a row, 3 days in a row. Cody Allen had pitched in 3 of the last 4 games. Even Mark Zipchinski, this is 3 days in a row now that he's pitched.
I mean, this bullpen has been getting a lot of work.
Well, you play low-scoring, close games, you end up using those guys a lot. That's the
right.
nature of that position. Now the 0-2. Got him looking. Brian Shaw with a backdoor slider. Says goodnight, Jason Kubel. 2 down in the 9th.
Pretty good pitch right there. He throws the cutter. He has a slider, and this could be a definite weapon where left-handers give up on that little cutter on the outside edge.
Shaw trying to make it a 1-2-3 9th inning. Kurt Suzuki stands in his way. So it won't be easy. Suzuki has singled, walked, and he is fouled out. At the knees, strike 1. Crowd of 9,621 tonight. Another chilly affair here at the ballpark. Swing and a miss, and the count is 1-2. Now the 1-2. Just above the letters, or right at the top of the zone. So one more shot for Brian Shaw. If Suzuki reaches, Eduardo Escobar would be next. And a 3-2 pitch. Ground ball to short. Cabrera boots it. And Suzuki's aboard. The Twins still have life here in the 9th. That's the second error of the night for Cleveland now.
Boy,
and now the tying run gets to the on-deck circle.
Well, that's just a ball right there Cabrera normally eats up. And that puts the game away. But that's the way the defense has played this year. It has been brutal. Gives him an extra out. Keeps the game going.
So here is Eduardo Escobar. Grounds one foul at first by inches. That took a wicked hop, too.
That hit somewhere in foul terms. I don't know if it was a spike mark or a little hole right there and took a bounce.
Josmiel Pinto has moved to the on-deck circle to bat for Chris Herman should he get a chance. Brian Shaw would like to make sure that doesn't happen because that's the tying run. Meantime, to count 1-1 on Escobar. He's going to smack one of the gap. And that's going to go all the way to the wall. That's going to allow Suzuki to come all the way around and score an unearned run.
That doesn't surprise me. The way it's gone, of course it's going to happen. Extra outs. Now you do get the tying run coming to the plate. It's a 4-2 game. This guy swung the bat well in the 2 games in this series. And Escobar found the gap in right center field. That's going to allow Suzuki to score from first base. And now we're going to get a pinch hitter. 4-2 ball game.
So Josmiel Pinto will bat here with a runner at second base and 2 down. He is the tying run at the plate. Brian Shaw has to get 4 outs here in the 9th.
They've had to get 4 outs in the last 3 innings, if you think about it.
Great point.
You know what I mean?
You're exactly right.
Yeah, there's 3 extra outs in the last 3 innings.
It's like you've given them a whole extra inning of at-bats.
Right. They're getting 10 innings for 9.
Boy, they are really making it hard on themselves. The 0-1. Outside, he missed 1 ball, 1 strike. The 1-1. High pop. This should do it. Cabrera's under it. And the game is over. The Indians come back to even the series. They hang on for the 4-2 win. Josh Tomlin gets his first win since July 5th, 2012. Been a long wait, but well worth it, I'm sure, for Josh. He was brilliant tonight. 6 2/3, gave up 1 run on 4 hits, walked 1, struck out 4. The save goes to Brian Shaw. It's his first. And congratulations to he and Scott Atchison and Mark Zubczynski. They did a nice job filling in the gaps for the Tribe's bullpen here tonight. The loss goes to Samuel Deduno.